Right, so the base of our bamboo styled nail is going to be like, I guess like a foresty tree style base. So we are going to be using Butterscotch, Coffee Bean and Serious Black, these 3 shades, just to create that kind of like foresty style. I'm going to begin with a layer of Butterscotch on the nail. I'm hoping this tip is going to be big enough for this design. I'm sure it will. We can just do like a little mini version. So you want to place a layer of Butterscotch down first. And we're not going to cure this yet. Sorry guys, my tummy's rumbling. Okay, once you've done that, you're then going to get yourself a fine liner brush, and we're going to take Coffee Bean. I'm just going to put this on a palette to one side, a little bit of Coffee Bean and a little bit of Serious Black. Perfect. And then what we're going to do is just run our brush through a little bit of both colours. I've just kind of mixed them together. And you're going to begin with some random lines down the nail. They don't have to be the same. It doesn't have to be neat. Focus more on the brown now. But we do just want to cover the majority of the nail with this. I'm going to layer it. But obviously first things first is just to put... Oh, sorry, I thought there was a cat in here. I left the door like slightly open. I do not trust Simba and Nala. They come in when they're not supposed to. Unless I've got a ghost in here, who knows? So as you can see, I'm just layering, and because the butterscotch is not cured, it blends really nicely. So if you are wanting to create a wood effect, I would say start with a lighter colour. Oh no, nearly ruined it. Yeah, start with a lighter colour, and then you can go in with your 2 mixture shades, and then just blend it with a long fine liner and just add lines as you go. So I'm going to keep it there to start with because I don't want to over blend it, so then we end up with just one clean cut colour, if that makes sense. So I've just added a couple of lines there. Make sure your edges as well are the same. Let me just add a little bit there. Okay, perfect. So that's how it looks so far. Hopefully you can see that okay. Okay, I'm not going to go in with another colour because I'm actually happy with how that looks. I think it just looks really rustic, it looks realistic. So to begin the bamboo, I am going to be using a nail tip adhesive today. So you're going to want to squeeze out some product. It is quite tricky when it's cold. You need to sort of warm it up a little bit. There you go, so it looks like that. We're going to squeeze out a certain amount, and then I'm just going to pop some on a bear with. I'm going to use the back of a stamping plate, and I'm going to roll out some of this product. So we just need it to fit. Oh my god, croaky voice. Okay, we just need it to fit this. Right, it's so cold in the salon today, so that has actually worked in my favour because the product is not sticky today. Sorry guys, I was just finding my silicone tool. Okay, so what we want to do is, now that you've got that, we're going to place it directly in the centre of the nail. Don't get sticky on me. Don't get sticky. Like so. Okay, and clean up underneath as you go, but don't worry about that too much for now. Okay. Oh my God, I'm so clumsy. Okay, right, so now that you've done that, you are just going to make sure that it's in the center of the nail and it's straight. And this is going to be obviously our bamboo. So I'm happy with that. And then what you want to do is, using your silicone tool, just create a line in there and a line in there, and that's going to create the bamboo effect. I think I'm happy with that, so I'm going to go ahead and cure it. You can see there's like a dent in both. Pop that into cure. Okay, once you've done that, you're going to roll out a couple of balls. I've just gone here with the same product, our tip adhesive gel, and using the pointy side of your silicone tool, you're just going to create a leaf. So just press in from the center on a slight angle, I would say about a 45-degree angle, like so, and just create your stem. There's going to be a little bit of a branch coming off first, and then you'll have your leaf. And the leaf, I might try and do two here, so I'm going to separate this into two sections. The leaf is going to come out and then back in to a point at the end. Leaf. Just trying to get this right. Okay, and then this one, we're going to do the same. Just trying to maneuver the product a little bit so that it doesn't look like it's all bunched up in the center of it, and it looks like a twig and a leaf. Beautiful. So that's kind of like our branch coming off of the, I don't want it to look like a flower, I just want it to look like a leaf, so I'm just trying to make sure we don't have a flower looking leaf, if that makes sense. Very tricky when it's a clear product to see what you're doing with regards to 3D designs. It's quite tricky because all I can see the whole time is a reflection. I think that's about right. Sorry guys, I hope you can see this okay. I know my angle here is not brilliant, but we move. Just trying to get that nice and clear, and then I'm going to do it again here, but we're just going to do one, which is going to make my life a little bit easier. Okay, and that's going to be a little bit bigger. One leaf, but a bit bigger. So again, I'm just creating the stem, branching off of the bamboo. Again, try not to make it look too flowery, but you still want that leaf design. I actually feel like that's too like straight. I kind of want it to look like it's going on more of a wonk like that. That looks quite good. And this product is self-leveling, so if you give it a second, if you want it to smooth out, then just give it like 10-15 seconds and the product will start to smooth out. Okay, cool, happy with that. So there's our leaves. So I'm going to put that into cure now, and then we will come back and paint that before we move on to the next stage. Right, so for the bamboo, I'm going to be doing a bit of a mix. So the base of it, I really want to use Tangy Lime. but I'm probably going to mix a little bit of Sherbet Lemon. This is like my ultimate favourite yellow. I mix it with everything. So I'm probably going to create the bamboo using those, and then I'm going to be doing some shading with a bit of Midori, and I might just tone that down with a bit of base coat just so it's not as pigmented. But hopefully, if I pop that there, you'll kind of get my drift. That's going to be like the bamboo colours. So what I'll do is I'll pop that on my palette, and then we will begin. So that literally turns out the perfect colour. I just mixed it off camera. My palette is like just full of colours from filming today, so please ignore that. But this is the shade that we've got. So Sherbet Lemon, Tangy Lime and Midori. I added a dash of that and it's given us a really nice green. I'm like Picasso up in here. Like 10,000 colours going on at the same time. So I'm going to start building this now and just creating our colour. So I'm going to put the first layer down. This is going to make everything a lot easier to see because it's going to have some shade. Make sure that you do fill in all the sides as well because you don't want any gaps. And this just goes to show that, you know, any of these designs that I do, whether it be on a long nail or a shorter nail, they are all wearable. You can literally fit, because the design that I'm looking at this from, my inspo picture, was on a lot longer, like an almondy stiletto shaped nail. So, you know, all I've done is size it down. So definitely know that whatever size you want your client, sorry, not what you want, what your client size is that they desire, whether it's like shorter, different shape or longer, you can still do the same design. You just have to scale it down basically. It's not tricky. So this is a good example of showing you that you can create any design, no matter how wild and wacky it is, and it's still fine. That colour, can we just take a second? So if you ever want to create bamboo, Midori, Tangy Lime and Sherbet Lemon, buff, they are your colours. So I'm just going to shade in now the leaves, as long as I can make sure I know where the leaves are, because again it's quite tricky to see it when it's a clear product. This is the base that I'm using for the whole thing, and then I'll start to add shading and stuff. And then we can do our little panda, which is going to be so cute. I thought this was going to take me longer than it has, but I've been okay actually. It's taken me not too long. I just thought this is a really sweet design, and for people that are quite out there with their design choices, it's nice to have something like this coming into summer. I think I would wear this. It's not too out there. And I think because we've used the 3D sculpting gel, the tip adhesive that we offer, which you can obviously purchase along on our website. It's called a nail tip adhesive gel, and it basically, or nail tip gel adhesive, and it basically is just like a 2-in-1. So it's a 3D gel, but it's also a tip adhesive as well. So that's how that looks. I'm obsessed. I'm actually so excited. It's like a child. Okay, put that into cure for a minute, then I will be back with like details. Okay, now I'm gonna do some details. So what I've done is just basically mixed a little bit more of the Midori into the colour that we'd already created, so it's not as harsh, but it's still a shadow. And what we're going to do is run the shadow colour down the sides of the bamboo. To be fair, it could go a little bit darker than that, so let's just add a little bit of a darker shade. Okay, Midori on its own is actually all right against that. So where you want to put shadow in is basically anywhere that naturally has like depth to it. So around your side edges, in the dips, that's where you're going to want to put it. And then the highest points is where the sun is naturally going to hit. So that's where you want to keep obviously your product a little bit lighter. This looks really cute. Okay, I'm going to start dragging that darker product now down onto the edges of the leaf. Not necessarily all over, but just in certain areas. Again, like I say, just to create a little bit of depth and realism so it doesn't look fake. And I think I'm quite happy with that. I may just add one more line of Midori just here, and I might just add a little bit of a shimmer of it there, just so it's got a little bit of texture. Perfect, happy with that. I think that looks really cute. And then we're going to go ahead now, cure that, and then we'll start the panda on the side. So for the panda, I've used our Nail Tip Gel Adhesive. As you can see here, it's nice and cold, so it's easy to touch without it being sticky. So what we want to do is, I'm still on point 2, sorry, there we go. We're going to create the head of the panda first, and I'm going to do it in this section here. So what I want to do is figure out the size. To be fair, that's probably a good size, what I've done already. Okay, I'm going to plop it down there like that. Remember, this is self-leveling, so obviously it's going to level itself and you're not going to have to do too much with it. So I kind of want the face to have a bit of a point to it. Let me use cold fire. Oh, I'm just getting out a slightly different tool here. Okay, so I'm going to use my finger to just pat that down and just shape it slightly, because I find using your finger is better. And then you want to make sure that your sides, again, I know it's hard to work with because it's clear, so it's a little bit tricky to see what your shape is. But the panda, you obviously want there to be like a slight area for a point for the nose to be. Try and work on that. And then the rest of it obviously can be however, because, you know, the panda is a panda. It's not gonna, I don't think it's gonna make too much of a difference. As long as it's got a round head, that's all that matters. But I think that's good. So we're gonna work with that, and then we're gonna put that into cure first, and then we'll start to make the ears. So I'm just gonna press out a little bit more of my product. Oh my God, it's good that it's cold because it's not sticky, but also I'm having to like break an arm to get some out. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to separate that into some smaller sections. I'm just going to cut it. Cool, so we've got that, and now we are going to place the ears on. So I've just rolled smaller balls basically, and we're just going to put the ears on the side. So just place them down first, and then you can shape them in a minute. It's giving Mickey Mouse at the minute, we don't want that. Right. Okay, so there is, I might have made them a bit too big. Oh no, it should be okay. Once they're painted, you'll be able to see. So I'm just going to very gently pat using a silicone tool because it doesn't stick. I'm going to flatten it at the front. And then you just want to make sure that they are like almost a half moon. They have got quite big ears, haven't they? Pandas. But they're a little bit flat on the top. I'm going to go with that, I think. I think that should be good. I don't want it to look like a dog. Looking okay. It's hard to see on camera, but I think that looks good. And then when we come to paint it, I think it'll be easier for you to get a grip of what it looks like. I think what I'm missing here is a bigger gap between them. That's better. I'm going to pop that in now while it's like that. This product is really easy to use, guys. It's not hard at all. So I'm left with this bead here. I'm going to now just use like the end of some tweezers, split it in half like so, and then I'll roll them into the arm shape where we're gonna pop the arms. And then we're almost done. We're just gonna have to paint the panda and then we're finished. Let me zoom you in for this section. So these are the arms. I've just rolled it into a ball like that. They kind of need to be more bulbous, so I might actually put it more in a ball for now. I'm gonna do one at a time so I don't mess up. What we're gonna wanna do is you kind of want the hands to be a bit wider than the actual arm itself. Kind of like that, I think. Yeah, I think that's good. So that's one arm, and I'm going to place the other one down as well. Obviously flatten it away from the head because you want it to look natural. Just going to manoeuvre the arm to about there, and then you just want to create a little bit more shape to it so it doesn't look like it's just attached to the head. I think that's good. Okay guys, now the next step is to paint our little friend. So I'm going to be using Snow White, obviously, for the face. Ooh. So I'm just going to begin to place Snow White all over the face here. Might need a couple of coats of this because when it goes onto a clear 3D base, it can be a little bit see-through and a bit wishy-washy. I think this is actually adorable. I'm so glad I saw this. Don't worry if you slightly go over where the black is going to be, because obviously you're going to paint over that anyway, so it doesn't matter. Okay, then you want to go in with your black where you can, like the arms, and just begin that first coat. Again, this is going to look a little bit wishy-washy because it's on a completely clear base, which is also 3D and has some like slight dents to it, so we are going to need to alter it slightly and put 2 coats on, just because you don't want to apply too thick too quickly because then you'll start to get bubbling. I'm going to just begin by placing a tiny bit of black onto the ears just so I know where my rough guideline is. If you're still watching along, obviously let me know in the comments what you think to this design, and if you'd like me to do a few more designs like this, obviously I can just, you know, create my own and think about different animals and where they live in their habitats and stuff, and I could just do a mini series like that. So let me know if you want to see something like that, and also hopefully you being able to see this design on a smaller nail has been good for you as well, so you can see that it's quite wearable. Okay, I'm going to leave the first coat like that, pop it into Cure. Okay guys, I'm going to just start the second layer now. Okay, so that's a little guy. I like my glove is really not giving aesthetics, you know, clean aesthetics. Anyway, let's do his nose first, I think. No, let's do his eyes. So they are kind of like a downward shape. So I'm going to do 2 first. Like so. And they're kind of like a love hearty shape, aren't they? Their eyes, they kind of... I'm going to say they go upwards slightly. Oh my God, this is so small and detailed. Don't know if I can hear Bali coming in. Don't know if I can hear her coming through the garden. Maybe, maybe not. Okay, so that's kind of like the face so far. I'm not going to go overboard with the face either. We are just going to be doing a rough shape. So I think I'm happy with that. Let's cure it. Guys, I was right. Bali's out there. Oh, look at her. I think she's de-shedding the cats with Ryan. They're molting. Anyway, really happy with this. Is it going to focus? Look how cute. I need to top coat, but I think that's pretty adorable. So top coat to finish, and then we're done with our Panda bamboo nail. Love, I'm so obsessed. It actually looks so cute. So just pop a little bit down. If you can hear Bali and Ryan in the garden, that's because they're brushing the cat. So I do apologise. Just make sure that when you're top coating around 3D stuff that you do get in all of the nooks and crannies, and you make sure there's no like excess build up in the corners, because it can ruin the effect at the end. So I'm just making sure that I'm covering it well. And then we can have a good old nosy at it in a minute. I'll get a close up. Just making sure that everything is nice and smooth. We've got no bits and bobs anywhere. Bali is now currently sat on Ryan's lap with the glove on, brushing the cat. Okay, top coated, let's cure it and then we'll get a close-up look. Right, finished results. How blooming cute is that? Let me see if I can just get the colouring in the photo a little bit better. There we go. So that's our Panda nail 3D design on a very short almond, really wearable. Obviously you could make the Panda a little bit, what's the word? Less 3D, but for this design I think it looks really cute. Really, really cute. I'm so happy with that. Hold on. Ah, there we go. Very, very cute. I'm trying to like pick my less dirty glove. How should I do it? You can see the details in there. Let me just focus that for you. You see the details. Got a lovely wood effect. Really pretty. I hope you guys enjoyed that tutorial. That was really fun. And like I said, if you want to see any more of these sort of mini animal designs, then just let me know in the comments. And yeah, make sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure to click the notification bell as well if you want to see more regular videos that will just notify you when they are uploaded. And I'll see you guys in the next one.